This video shows how I built this bubble rock water feature. My objective on this project, unlike my previous ones, was a design that would be fast and easy to finish. And of course it needs to look good, otherwise who cares about fast and easy? Completing it only took a few hours over a couple of days, and it's not a difficult build. As far as how it looks, I'll leave that up to you. The parts I used to build this water feature are a fogger, a small pump, a submersible light, and some tubing. I will leave a link below. To contain everything, I picked up this planter, which is designed almost perfectly for the purpose I needed it for. The bottom section will contain the electrical, the middle the reservoir, and the top will be for the bubble rock. I only had to make small modifications to make it work. The first modification is to plug the hole in the middle section, which will be the reservoir. To do this, I will fill the hole with silicone, then add a plug. To make a plug, I use a hole saw to drill into the bottom of the lower section. Since I needed to remove the center drill bit, I screwed on a piece of plywood with the same size hole as the plug. To make sure I don't get any silicone on the area where the plug will be glued, I added tape. Before gluing in the plug, I waited 24 hours for the silicone to cure. I am now cutting some acrylic 9.5 inches square. This will sit in the top section of the planter. After taping over the acrylic piece, I place it on the top section of the planter. Here I'm placing some of the rocks to get an idea of the layout. The rocks that I'm using are from the area where I live. If you are in a location that doesn't have native rock suited for this project, a good source would be a rock quarry. I am now drawing the area of where I want the fog effect. The bubble rock will be located just above it. Using a drill press, I am boring a 3/8 inch hole in the rock. This is the same size as the tubing from the water pump. For this, I am using a diamond core drill bit. If you don't have a drill press, a hand drill can be used. I use water from a sprayer to keep the bit cool. Now using a 1-inch bit, I am boring down about 1 inch. If the rock I was using was thicker, I would bore deeper. Using a 3/16 bit, I clean the area around the smaller hole. Now with the hole for the bubble rock done, I place a mark on the acrylic where the hose will come through. I then drill a hole using a 1¼ inch Forstner bit. The next step is making a container to hold the fogger. I'm cutting some 2.5 inch tubing at a length of 2¼ inches. That should leave enough water above the fogger to produce the fog. They recommend around 2 centimeters. After sanding each side of the tube, I will bond a small piece of acrylic to the bottom of it. For this, I am using Weldon 4, which is a water-thin solvent that will fuse the two pieces together. I then add pressure to the joint for a couple of hours. Now I am bonding the container around the hole in the acrylic I cut earlier. Here I am cutting out some pieces of the top portion. Something I discovered after completing the bubble rock is I should have cut out a lot more of the plastic. After running the water feature at night, I realized there is not enough light coming through. I will get my future me to look into this. Here I am cutting a small piece off of one of the parts that came with the planter. I will use this to mount the submersible light in the reservoir. I then mark the position of where I will mount the light. After drilling holes in the marked position, I use stainless steel bolts to attach the light onto the part. Using some crazy glue, I then attach the light into the reservoir. I then drill a hole in the lower part of the planter where the power cord will go. After cutting the extension cord, I feed it into the planter through the cable gland. I then reattach the cord. I then drill holes in the inner top edge of the reservoir. These will allow the pump cord, light cord, and fogger cord to feed into the lower planter. To provide a tight fit into the bubble rock, I am wrapping the hose with Teflon. I am now cutting the power cord on the pump, so I can feed the cable into the lower planter. I will now need to attach the light cord and pump cord back together. I now plug everything into the power cord, then fit the reservoir into the lower planter. Here, I'm giving the rocks a coat of tung oil to help the colors stand out. I now insert the tubing from the pump into the bubble rock. I cut a small piece of lath and painted it black. This will cover the fogger. The final step is building a scene using rocks, plus whatever other material you can come up with to make it yours. This video is sponsored by feta cheese. What makes feta cheese different than all other cheeses? It is because it is feta cheese. You can even buy 1 kilogram.